The sound that woke me that night wasn't loud, but it was wrong. A faint metallic click, the unmistakable sound of my front door unlocking. For a moment I thought I was dreaming until my dog growled low at the foot of the bed. That's when I knew it was real. Adrenaline shot through me, and when I crept down the hallway barefoot, heart hammering, I saw her Karen, president of our HOA, standing inside my living room like she owned the place. And that was the moment everything changed. I froze. She froze. Both of us caught in that surreal silence. Finally, she muttered, "Your door was unlocked." I almost laughed. Midnight inspections now. She claimed it was a safety check, said she was protecting the neighborhood. I pointed out the irony of her becoming the intruder, and the whole time I knew my cameras were rolling, capturing every smug twitch of her face, every ridiculous excuse. She slammed the door on her way out like she hadn't just committed a felony. I stood there in the dark, pulse racing, my dog's hackles still up, realizing she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. The next morning, the neighborhood looked calm, almost peaceful. Kids waiting for the bus sprinklers, clicking, people waving like nothing had happened. But I could feel the stares, the whispers. Karen strutted out of her house in her neon pink tracksuit, clipboard clutched like a weapon, and came straight for me. She jabbed her pen in the air, listing off violations: my truck parked 2 inches over shutters, the wrong shade of beige. My shrubs aggressive. I just sipped my coffee. "Karen," I said, "are you going to mention breaking into my house, or is that not on today's violation list?" The color drained from her face. I pulled out my phone, showed her the paused footage, her standing in my doorway like a burglar. She stammered, tried to say the cameras were an invasion of privacy. I told her by all means she could submit that footage as part of her complaint. She stormed off, muttering about community standards, but I could already feel the trap tightening. She didn't back down. If anything, she doubled down. Fake violation notices started appearing on my door. She harassed my mailman. She screamed at neighborhood kids for riding scooters, and still she strutted around with that clipboard like a sheriff patrolling her town. Neighbors began to confide in me quietly. She'd entered their backyards, shouted at them about fences or paint colors. Everyone had a story, but no one wanted to be the first to push back. I started wondering if maybe it wasn't worth it. One night, after another bogus notice accusing me of hostile shrubs, I sat on my porch feeling like the entire neighborhood was stacked against me. I thought about selling the house, walking away. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe it would be easier to just comply, cut the shrubs, repaint the shutters, bow down to her petty empire. For a moment I let myself believe she had won, but my wife changed that. Laura, who most of the neighbors just thought was quiet and polite, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Are you really going to let her push you out of your own home? Because I won't." Her voice was calm, steady. The same voice that made suspects fold in interrogation rooms. I remembered then who she was, who we were. Laura Lawson, Chief of Police. Suddenly, I wasn't just a target. Karen had crossed into territory she couldn't control, and I decided I wasn't going anywhere. The turning point came one evening when I came home to find Karen halfway inside my garage, hands on my shelves like she was browsing at Home Depot. I let the silence stretch before asking. Looking for something, she jumped, blurted some nonsense about HOA garage standards. I lifted my phone, said, "Guess who's watching right now?" Then I hit dial. My wife answered instantly, professional as ever. Chief Lawson. The way Karen's jaw dropped, it was priceless. I said loud enough for her to hear, "Hey, honey, I've got a trespasser in my garage." Karen backed out so fast she tripped over the hose, bolted across the street, muttering excuses. That was the first crack in her armor. But she wasn't finished. She rallied her allies, staged meetings on her lawn, preaching about dangerous influences and neighborhood decline. She even published newsletters hinting that I was destroying property values. And for a while it almost worked. Neighbors listened, some nodded, others looked away. I felt that doubt again. What if she really could turn everyone against me? Then came the moment that burned away any hesitation. I found my dog's water bowl full of bleach. The smell hit before I even bent down. My dog wagged his tail beside me alive only because I hadn't refilled the bowl that morning. My chest went tight rage like I'd never felt before. That wasn't petty harassment anymore, that was cruelty, dangerous, intentional. And even though I didn't have video proof yet, I knew exactly who had done it. From that moment, there was no going back. I set up hidden cameras, motion sensors lights that pinged my phone. And sure enough, at 2 a.m., one night, my phone buzzed. I slipped outside quietly and caught her crouched at my shed, bolt cutters in hand. I flicked on my flashlight beam, cutting across her face. Midnight gardening. "Karen," I asked. She sputtered about storage compliance. I raised my phone recording just as red and blue lights washed over the yard. My wife pulled up uniform, crisp hand, resting on her belt. "Step away from the shed," she barked. Karen went pale as chalk. My wife listed the charges: trespassing, attempted burglary, criminal mischief, and asked if Karen wanted cuffs right there or to walk herself home. Karen stumbled back across the street, humiliated, cornered. But cornered animals fight hardest. She plastered orange stickers across my mailbox, scrawled, "Final notice of violation." She held another HOA meeting, shrieking through a bullhorn about corruption. Neighbors filmed it, laughed, posted online. The tide was turning. Still, I knew she wouldn't stop until she hit rock bottom. And rock bottom came fast. One night I woke to my house dead silent, the power gone. My dog barked frantically. I stepped outside with a flashlight and found the breaker box hanging open. Wires slashed. Standing over it, bolt cutters in hand, was Karen, her face, twisted eyes wild. "You don't belong here," she spat. "You and your police wife, you're poisoning this neighborhood." I raised my phone. "Keep talking, Karen, every word's evidence." She lunged, swinging the cutters like a weapon. I sidestepped my flashlight, clattering to the ground, adrenaline flooding me. Then, sirens, wailed patrol cars, screeched in lights, flooding the street. My wife stepped out, voice sharp. "Drop it." The cutters hit the pavement. Karen stammered about protecting the community, but nobody believed it anymore. That night should have ended it, but Karen spiraled further. She started leaving rambling flyers on doorsteps accusing me and my wife of corruption. Even witchcraft. Yes, witchcraft. Neighbors rolled their eyes. Then came the fire. At 3 a.m., alarms blared and I looked out to see my trash cans engulfed in flames, sparks spitting high enough to scorch the siding. Neighbors ran with hoses. My dog barked frantically, and through the smoke across her lawn, Karen stood watching, smiling. That was it. The patience, the traps, the documentation, it had all led here. My wife didn't ask me this time. She called it arson, a felony. Patrol cars swarmed the street by evening neighbors gathering to watch as officers surrounded her house. Karen barricaded herself inside, screaming about conspiracies and persecution, refusing to come out. Hours passed. Finally, near midnight, she burst onto the porch, papers flying, shrieking, "This is proof. You're all corrupt." Officers moved in fast, cuffed her before she could finish, dragged her down the steps as she kicked and wailed. Neighbors filmed everything, the once feared HOA president reduced to a spectacle under flashing lights. I stood on my porch, smoke still lingering in the air, watching her disappear into the back of a squad car. For the first time in months, the street was quiet. No whistles, no clipboards, no threats scribbled in red ink. Just silence. And in that silence, I realized the truth she hadn't lost because of me, or even because of my wife's badge. She'd lost because of herself. Power built on fear always collapses.